tickets, $50 off. The code is RTPSEO. But because we're sponsoring them, they were kind enough to go ahead and give us some tickets. I say that plural because I said one ticket. We're going to give away 2 tonight. How's that? That deserves. Oh, yeah. So what I'd like for everybody to do is to go ahead and put your name on a small piece of paper over here, drop it in the pumpkin. We pull the ticket. It has your name on it. You win. We pull another one. Second person wins. That's how it's done, right, Stephanie? Well, fantastic. Before we get started, I always like to thank the sponsors who make all of the free beer. Yes. Make it happen. So we want to thank Adapt Partners, a premier SEO company. And JR, remind us, they're up for some big awards today, right?
We're up for 3 awards at the U.S. Search Awards at PubCon.
Yay!
Well, we hope you win. We also want to thank Go Fish Digital, which they win a whole bunch of awards all the time as well because they're awesome too. We also want to thank Keith from Ecom Integrate. The guy, he puts this in. What? That's all right. So those are our sponsors, and again, they make this happen, and so do the people who help with the group, and I appreciate everybody involved. Okay, so tonight we're going to hear from the SEO program manager, Jairus Mitchell, who is with Red Hat Software. I've got to put the software in, apparently.
No.
No, it's always there whenever I look it up online.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be. Our company name is Red Hat. Okay. You might know us from the amphitheater.
Well, he's going to talk to us about reasons why your clients / coworkers won't do what you tell them to. And believe me, this is a common problem in our industry. You're going to tell us how to address all of it, right?
Oh yeah, I'm going to solve all of your problems immediately.
Jairus, take the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. So hello, everyone. I see some familiar faces and 2 coworkers and a lot of people that I don't know. So I know you. So I'm Jairus. I got my start in like 2012 doing black hat link building, and then freelance, contract work, subcontract work, subcontract work. I once consulted for a consulting firm so that they could better consult other consulting firms on consulting. So I work for a company, but these are not the words of the company. And I say that because I have 2 coworkers here, and they're going to keep me in line if I say some crazy crap. These are mine. Companies don't have feelings, so I'm not trying to hurt any company's feeling. So I'm going to paint a picture for you. You've built the perfect report. You've built the perfect audit. Your content recommendations are just we're talking like increasing web traffic, 150% year over year. We're talking like you've identified every single problem with their website. Look at it. It's majestic. It's a screaming frog export. You've got all of the places where titles are missing. You've got all of the missing descriptions. You notice that they don't have schema information. So you get that response. You get just like some sort of vague, bland corporate nonsense of like, oh, okay, yeah, really interesting. Hadn't thought about that. So why is that? Either you didn't say what they wanted you to say, they don't know what to do or how to do it, or it's a dumb recommendation and you just did a really bad job. And we'll save that one for last because that's the most complicated one. So a common phrase when something is going kind of vague is either like, oh, I don't know if this fits our business initiative. I don't know if this is the right fit for us. And usually that means they wanted something else out of you. If there is an in-house SEO at the company that you're working with, they probably called you in for support, and by not providing them with what they wanted, they're kind of pissed off. They're kind of frustrated. Like, they're all trying to push forward their initiatives, and if you're coming in talking about updating title tags, they're going to be irritated and frustrated. And that's fine. But like, giving them the benefit of the doubt, they just might not be able to get it done. So it might be kind of a vague nicety just to set the stage for like some later work. We don't have the resources, / we'll put it in the backlog. They don't know what you're talking about. They don't know what title tags are. They don't know like how to build a redirect. They don't know any of that crap. Or they just don't actually have the resources. And that's surprisingly common. A lot of companies have hyper complicated backends. Their content creation process is long and exhausting and requires committee meetings of 45 people for like 3 weeks. And then they might get a piece of content up, but it won't be the thing that you asked them for. And that can be kind of frustrating. That's interesting. It either means that's really stupid and you're bad at what you do, or, that's interesting. So the questions to ask yourself at this point are, do you actually understand their site? Do you understand what part of their site is driving traffic? Do you understand what part of their site is driving conversions? Do you understand how their site makes money? Do you understand just like the basics of the internet? Like, we as SEOs are supposed to be able to come in and tell people what they're doing wrong and how to do it better, but a lot of times you just get a screaming frog export. You just get a crawl and a bunch of missing data and a bunch of like redirect chains or something. And like, cool, yeah, we can fix those redirects, but that's not going to fix any systematic problem associated with the issue. So what I would encourage all of you to do is understand the structure of the, by the way, my presentation style is kind of rambly, so if you have any questions, feel free to just like shoot a hand up and shout at me or some crap. Are we all in agreement? Yep. All right, thank you. So the question is, do you understand the structure of their site? Do you understand? Oftentimes, a website will have content that performs well sitting right next to content that doesn't perform. And when you look at it, you're like, they probably should have all of this content performing well. Why is that? Is that an issue of page type? Is that an issue of like an internal limitation that is put on certain content by the people who are managing it? Or is that just happenstance luck and SEO gods frowning upon that website? It's hard to tell sometimes, but a deeper dig and a deeper understanding, look at the pages. What I'm saying is look at the pages. Look at the pages, look at the site, both pull back. So first pull back, look at the site, kind of holistically understand the site structure, figure out where the majority of traffic goes, figure out how people interact with that stuff, and then look at the page and say, like, is this actually a good page? Does this content actually do what it's supposed to do? And if it doesn't, that's a serious problem that they should be aware of. Do you understand what the website's trying to do? I am in B2B enterprise software marketing, which is an entirely different world than selling gift cards online. Was that what you were talking about? Selling gift cards online. So the intrinsic difference between that might be that the primary goal of the gift card website is to rank for, search for thing gift card, and then drive traffic to that and get an immediate conversion. A B2B site might have a slower flow, additional steps involved with it. It's not one conversion equals sale. It's not like B2C. In that there's no shopping cart, there's no little icon in the upper right-hand side that shows how many softwares you've purchased, because that's not a real thing that anybody looks at. Every website should make money, though, or have a purpose for existing. And if the website doesn't have a purpose for existing, then you're dealing with a vanity project, and that's a whole different beast. Just like run away from that crap. Yes, JR.
Just thinking about B2B versus B2C.
Just thinking about B2B versus B2C. I'm relaying it so that they can hear it on the stream.
So B2C is very broad.
Correct.
Right, and like anybody could possibly want to buy a gift card at some point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
He asked me, his statement was, B2B is very broad. Anyone could theoretically want to buy a gift card.
but B2C, or
Yep.
sorry, B2B, you could have one page that if it gets 10 visitors a year and one of those converts could be $1 million.
So JR pointed out that part of the difference between B2B and B2C is on a B2B website, you might have 10 visits a year that equal $4 million.
That's right. So yeah, so how like thinking about websites that have to make money, right?
Yeah,
And doing SEO when you have a really super niche audience.
correct.
I mean, in trying to make a business case
Mm-hmm.
off of that,
Right.
how in trying to understand goals and that the website should make money, how do you make like a business case or recommendation for maybe potentially a piece of content when you literally have no search volume or any kind of user data?
Do you mean me personally or in the macro narrative of this? Okay. So in the macro narrative of the conversation, that gets into finding ways to recycle existing things, if you are a B2B company, you are probably generating a lot of content. It might not be the right content, but you are generating a lot of content. And part of that comes down to figuring out and focusing those efforts. So if you are a consultant that's brought in to help with this, it's a question of, do you have anything that helps someone make the decision between this thing and this thing? And your B2B client will probably come back and say, why, yes, we do. Here's a white paper that's 435 pages and says exactly 5 things of value. And then you look at that white paper and you say, cool, it's got 5 things of value. Let's take those 5 things of value and let's pull it out and make a blog post with it. Let's make an article. Let's make a resource page, whatever you call it. Like, part of the issue with larger companies is that they all build these structural models to explain what their content is and what it's supposed to do. And sometimes that can be overly limiting, and sometimes that can get in the way of any sort of progress, any sort of change, or any sort of thing. So there's a certain level of understanding what's there and then figuring out how you can take what exists currently and either retool it, reshape it, or entirely rebuild it and present it in a way that the stakeholders will accept and say, like, yes, this should be page type that doesn't matter to anyone outside of this company. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. You heard that. I answered JR's question. Take that, anyone on the internet. But JR brought up a good point, is that B2B in general has weird funnels. Like when we are taught SEO, we're taught that you get someone to this page and they will then progress to this page and then they'll convert and then you'll make money. That's the way how it works, or that's the way that it works on like affiliate sites. You get someone on here where you talk about the mattress that you like this week, and they'll click your Amazon link and you'll make 50 bucks. Cool, great. But that's entirely different from how publishing houses make money. Publishing houses make money just on eyes. Like, they just want to sell ad revenue. So they want people to click on their article or come to their page, and whether or not they pay attention to those ads, they want to get those eyeballs. And B2B, is a giant complicated mess of weird hot nonsense that leads to someone buying or not buying a thing. And that person might not even be the person who filled out the form to download your gated white paper. They might be someone in acquisitions that signed the contract and handed over the money. And that's fine. It's just a mess. So JR kind of got me off topic because that's what he likes to do. Real quick, I'm going to talk about things to avoid doing. And this one is based on personal experience. There was a time where I told someone to put some redirects in place, their htaccess file, and they said, we don't have an htaccess file because we're running a different server. Understand the technology that your company or your customer is using. If you don't understand their fucking stack, you're going to say some crazy crap and they're not going to listen to you. You're going to entirely discredit yourself in their eyes because you didn't do the due diligence to understand what kind of server they had. This is my mineshaft canary. I am the primary SEO for redhat.com, but every now and then someone will, Red Hat's an enterprise Linux company. We sell operating system software and a whole host of other things. It's a very long spiel. Linux printer commands does not align to how we make money. It has nothing to do with anything related to how we make money, because we don't sell desktop operating systems. We sell enterprise. We sell servers. We sell things to host AWS. Or you can actually buy Red Hat Linux on AWS and then use that as your server load to then run other Red Hat stuff. But every single agency that has ever sent a spreadsheet in my time at Red Hat to one of my coworkers has had that on it. And it has no value. It has no use, because we are not having anything to do with those people. And also, on the right, there's another website that we own. So they're saying, you don't show up for this. This is a huge content gap. But we do, on the website that should show up for it. So, once again, just due diligence. Due diligence, understand, like, yes, I'm telling you to do more work than just run one crawl of a website, export everything, throw it into a VLOOKUP or a pivot table, or throw it into a spreadsheet or a pivot table, and then spit something out in a beautiful formatted PDF. But just don't do that. No one cares about that. No one likes that. No one gets excited when you hand over a thing that's like, hey, here's a very glaring issue that you know that you have, but now you have another PDF that says it. Don't recommend Schema. More often than not, websites don't have stable taxonomies. They don't have the data structures necessary to build schema markup. And that might sound frustrating. That might sound like, oh, everyone should have a data structure associated with their web pages. Cool. I agree, but also they don't. Like you have to populate every single one of these fields with something. Not all of them, like some of them are optional, we understand that. But things need to go places, And either you're asking people to devote, let's say, an hour to fill out all the schema markup times however many pages they have. Like, can you actually honestly, and for what? Like, no ranking boost, just kind of like some better contextualization. That's the phrase that we use. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as much as, hey, just write some shit for humans. Just write real stuff for people. That is also an audit that would get thrown out probably, but we'll see. I trust JR to do that. And kind of the crux of this is all of this stuff, be it technical changes, content creation, can be harder than you think that it is. Maybe not at the surface level, maybe it's, I mean, at the core of it, we're writing pages and we're putting them online. Like, that is what we're asking. But there are political factors within a company. There are technical limitations. There are difficulties. Maybe they don't even host their website. You don't know. If you come in blind with just like some bullshit audit and throw it on the table, and they're like, oh, well, every time we post, we add a new page, we have to pay this agency $4,000, which is a real situation that I've had to deal with in my freelancing past. It's nuts. It is nuts that people can exist in a world where their trusted agency is just hot trash and does whatever nonsense that they want to. And they'll pay it. That really sounded like I was encouraging all of you to go and do sketchy things. I wasn't. Please don't. Please don't. There's like a Hippocratic oath thing here. And kind of the point of it is nobody wakes up to be mediocre. Nobody's like, I'm really going to phone it in today. I mean, we all do sometimes, but like, for the most part, it is an outlier. So nobody's just super thrilled to be a trash hole. You are, I understand. So like, let's all do better. Let's build things. Let's look at a website and figure out what it actually needs. Let's understand what to do and how to do it. Let's understand that if we don't know what to do, let's talk to people. Let's ask other people in the industry. Let's ask people in the field and say, hey, I've got this weird problem. I don't know how to handle this. Do you think this is reasonable? In my early days of SEO, I was really scared of that. Like, honestly, I didn't think that the SEO industry would be reasonable. And in some cases, it's not. But there are clever people who will probably help you, especially if you ask reasonably and not like a jackass. And whenever you do an audit, whenever you're pulling something together, ask yourself, does this make sense? Like, on a deep and intrinsic level, does this thing make sense? Am I asking for something crazy? Am I asking for something completely out there? Will it help their site? Don't, like, if I see another person do like that weird effort impact analysis, does everyone know what I'm talking about? Where you've got like, this is the low effort thing that will have high impact. Every single time I see one of those, it's got site speed in there. Improve your load time. Do you know how fucking complicated it is to fix a page's load time? You have so many factors at play. You've got CSS files. You've got image weight. You've got server response time. Yeah, but So, sorry, JR's heckling me with Cloudflare. Yes, Cloudflare can help you. Having a CDN can help you, but not if you set it up wrong. And also that relies on someone knowing how to set up a CDN and understanding all of like the host name weird shit that you have to do with that. It's weird. The internet's fucking weird, y'all. And the last point was, can your company actually, or can your client actually do this? Am I moving too much? Yeah. If your company can't do it, can you do it? And if your client can't do it and you can't do it, why are you recommending it? Why are you even broaching the subject? Other than to say like, hey, this is an issue, you might want to find someone who can fix all this messy JavaScript that you've got in place. It's not me. It's not you either. Maybe we can find someone. I don't know. I don't know where we find JavaScript people. The best example of that, there is a local agency. I'm going to call them out because they win all the awards. Dan Hinckley at GoFish has a really good habit and strategy of whenever they pull together technical recommendations, analyzing their stack, looking at it, and saying, cool, if we change this thing, and like going and actually sitting with developers. Like a lot of this stuff is that we don't understand what developers do for the most part. We don't understand what content writers do. We are just SEOs sitting in a little SEO bubble thinking about the perfect information architecture or the perfect cross-linking strategy or what have you. But these audits, these presentations that you might charge $50,000 for and it only takes you 10 minutes, like that's going to affect someone's life. That's going to affect someone's day. That might even affect someone's entire fucking career. So like think about it and do like a Hippocratic oath thing and try not to do any harm. Try not to maliciously point a company at a problem that isn't really a problem. Try not to just tell people that things that don't matter matter. And we're really good at that. And if you said no to any of those things, just fucking tear the audit up and throw it in the trash. Like, try again. Do something better. Because I think bad SEOs make people distrust the entire fucking field. And man, that got real gloomy all of a sudden. I'm sorry. I think that it is difficult because we want to impress our clients and we want to show people that we are worth the amount of money that they're paying us in whatever the case may be. But we have to create value. We have to be responsible to our clients, to our customers, to our coworkers, and do good work, even if it takes 30 extra minutes, even if it like cuts your billable margins down. Like, just do better stuff. So the secret here is that I tricked all of you into coming by saying that I was going to tell you why your coworkers are assholes, and really turned it right around on you and said like, hey, we should all do better. I see one person smiling. Any questions? No! Wow! That is so quiet. You have a question. Of course you do. You want me to repeat back something?
No. Can y'all hear me? So, let's say that you're an agency, right?
Yeah.
And you're working with a company.
Yeah.
With a deep knowledge trust. right?
When you say deep knowledge trust, do you mean that they have in-house talent and that they're focused on SEO?
No.
You actually turned it off.
Hello? Hello? So you're working like with Red Hat, right? So there's layers upon layers upon layers of different technology and different agreements that you guys have with different companies.
Absolutely.
Like AWS, and y'all resell your systems through there for their cloud, and probably with Google too. And then you have kind of so when you're like, if you engage an agency, right, for help, right, and you know, I've seen the recommendations that you've seen that you're talking about from a query standpoint, where they didn't even ask what market you're in, right? It's just like, hey, I put 5 of your competitors in a thing, and, like, here's 1 million keywords that have $1 billion worth of value, right?
Right.
But I guess my broader question is, working from an agency standpoint with even someone that's in-house, or maybe put yourself in the point of view of like maybe a marketing director there, right? What do you think is the most appropriate way, since there's so much from going from zero, right, to some needed benefit to show demonstrable value, let's say over 6 months, right? What do you think is the most effective way to work together so that you can overcome that naivety with the product line and what the business value is, what the market, what the information about, like, key details about product? What do you think is the best way to work together from an internal standpoint as well as from an external standpoint to really make sure that you're focused not on the BS stuff? Questions. Honestly, questions. In my professional work, I ask a lot of questions. Clarifying questions, questions to better understand the perspective with which a coworker or a peer is coming into a situation with, what they're looking for out of that. And like, if you are a sociopath in SEO, you're doing a really weird thing and you're not probably going to be successful, or you'll be hyper successful. I don't know. Like, but empathy and understanding. Like, if you can understand this is the goal or objective that this person who I work with, whether it's coworker or they are giving you a check, this is what they're trying to do. And this is how I can help them do that. The hard part there is that sometimes you have to say, I can't help you. You're pursuing a line of logic that doesn't make any sense. You're going off on a tear or focusing on a thing that isn't going to drive the value that you need or the revenue that you need. So that's the hard part of that conversation. The easier part of that conversation is ask them a lot of questions, throw a couple of hooks in whatever audit that you're doing to, like, let them point out that you're incorrect. Because I think there are a lot of people who just want to feel smug and feel like, I know this better than they do. I just justified my job. And if you throw in that Linux printer commands, you've got a very quick way, as long as they don't respond super terribly like I have in the past, to say, cool, if that isn't right, how can we refocus this? How can we better build this recommendation so that it encapsulates what you're looking for? Cool, so we don't want like hobbyist claims. Does this fall into that category? Does this fall into that category? Does this fall into that category? Cool, now I have a model that I can use and take and apply to the rest of the work. But I think it's
honesty and empathy and a little bit of vulnerability, which is like super hard in a corporate environment, and I recognize that. But just admitting that you don't understand can go a long way. But part of why companies hire agencies is because they have a skill that their employees don't have. And just like, if they are blatantly just saying like, we don't fucking know what we're doing, help us, lead us, we are toddlers, we need you to make sure we don't get attacked by snakes. I don't know where I was going with that. Then be respectful of that trust and don't breach it, don't treat them, don't burn them. Don't let them get bitten by the metaphorical snakes that I mentioned earlier. Yeah. Does that make sense? Is that a good answer? Is that reasonable? Are you going to blow me up on Twitter now?
So on that last point, in your experience as a consultant, how often did you find that the companies you were working with were toddlers, so to speak, and they hire a consultant?
A lot.
They really know what their problems
Honest,
are, really explicitly understand their funnels or things like that. And you think that's like a 50-50 thing, or what's your experience?
So part of what took me, in my opinion, out of being a hyper mediocre SEO and into like a decent one was the realization that people, for the most part, don't know shit about this. They're kind of blind, or it's a thing that they assume works right, so they haven't really put a lot of thought into it, so they haven't like thought about it or focused on it, or maybe they've been accidentally successful. I would say more often than not, you're going to deal with toddlers. And I don't mean offense when I say this, so please don't take it that way, but especially if they're talking to a single contractor or a small shop or something like that, they might have just like had a moment where they were like, okay, maybe this is a thing we should try out. And they'll probably come to you with business needs like, we want to sell more. Cool, you want to sell more. What do you sell? You sell shoes for dogs. Okay, cool. So what does a good shoes for dogs sale query look like? Shoes for dogs. Do you show up? Cool, you show up. Let's figure out what else. Let's figure out where the other opportunities are. And it's I think in a lot of cases, it ends up becoming as much educating them. And if you can blend it so that you're educating your client as you're learning about them, that is like, that's the ideal situation in my mind. Because like, it takes
that situation than one where you're working with a client who really knows their stuff and really wants you there for a specific thing, or?
I have. And part of that is because I started in Black Hat link building, and a lot of the clients that the agency that I worked for had really fucking solid content, had really solid technical SEO. They had all of the shit in place. They just needed backlinks. So they were like, cool, here's money, go out and build all of the links. And that's perfectly reasonable. It's perfectly reasonable, and those situations are great, because in those situations, you know what they expect out of you. You know what they want. And if they are kind of advanced in the adoption curve of SEO, then they'll know how to articulate their problem statements, they'll know how to articulate their desires, they'll know how to articulate the things that they're concerned about or uncomfortable with or afraid of. It's the business toddlers that are the difficult ones, but like even then, I mean, just help them. Like we are all just trying to figure shit out. Nobody knows what they're doing. We're all just fucking guessing. We're all just like shooting in the dark, and sometimes money comes out the other side, and we're like, how? Why? I just wrote a thing that explained a thing that everybody knows. How does that money? Did that answer? Okay.
Thanks.
Cole's got one.
So let's talk a little bit about buy-in and the process with maybe Red Hat in the position you're in right now. Like, I'm sure you've probably worked with different departments within the organization, and even some of them just been like, oh, he's that SEO guy, like over there, he does something.
Yes.
What examples can you give us for those of us that are in-house to get better buy-in, not just from our senior members of our organizations, but other departments as well?
And are you still at Waste Industries?
Technically, we're GFO environmental right now, but yes.
So Cole actually has really similar problems to me. When you're in-house, a lot of it comes down to like when you're a contractor or a consultant or agency side, you have one client. You have the person who signs your check, and if you keep the person that signs your check happy, you're fine. In-house is entirely different. In-house, you have a whole company full of people who might just throw crazy shit at you all day, every day. Not speaking from personal experience on that one. I have entirely reasonable coworkers. So there are a couple of things that I would recommend for you, Cole. The first is finding advocates. Like, I realized pretty early on that I am loud, but me being loud eventually gets tuned out. So find the people, especially if they're in other parts of the org, that can advocate for you. Lee Blaylock, will you stand up? This is Lee Blaylock. She is one of my coworkers. You're not an advocate, Brian. So if you can, like, I don't want to say cultivate, like if you can build those relationships with other humans, it could be as simple as they don't think SEO is a real thing, and then you work with them and show them that it's a real thing, and then they're like, oh, holy fuck, I love this. I like that I just beat my business goal with this thing. I want to do more of it. Like, part of it's like cultivating a relationship, part of it's indoctrinating, which makes me feel uncomfortable to say out loud. But it's the training, educating, getting people on your side. You're a personable guy. I imagine you talk to a lot of your coworkers.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like, everybody knows me. I'm a local in my office, so I will get up literally and talk to various different departments. In particular, you were talking about content or our customer service team loves me. Yeah. Because I try to meet with them, get just content suggestions, as well as like any questions that they get on a daily basis. Yeah. At this point, like, I'm like, hey, what's going on? So I know what's going on. I was on vacation up till today. I actually walked down the first department I went and talked to, like, hey, so what's been going on? Well, I've been out of town, so. Yeah.
It's funny that you said vacation. I think taking vacations is also good for that, because I think that when you are one of a small team that's in-house, sometimes you just need something to blow up, especially while you aren't there or you aren't aware of it, just so that other people can see the value of the work. And I'm not saying that I get excited when a thing blows up. I get pissed. I'm like, why wasn't I brought in earlier? Oh, don't they know? But like, for you, I'd think about finding some ways to measure your own success. like measure your own influence within the company. For a while, for me, it was someone shared a spreadsheet that I did at a meeting that I wasn't in. So like, by the way, in Google Drive now, you can see analytics on all of your documents, which is very unsettling. You can also block so that other people can't see when you're accessing documents, but most people haven't done that. So like you go into a doc and you see it and you're like, oh yeah, I wonder what that conversation was. But like, figure out what the wins look like. Take people out, like build some advocates, especially like some people who understand the value of it, but also people who want to see change happen. Like, I try to not avoid. I try to focus my effort on people who want to make things better, as opposed to just kind of want to ride out whatever corporate thing that they're in the middle of.
It's funny you say that. Like I tell everyone.
Turn the mic around. They can't hear you.
It's funny you say that. I tell everyone my actual job title is agent of change.
Yeah.
So definitely like to bring them to a newer digital technological age.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I mean, the people who are not in-house might not realize this, but a lot of what adopting SEO as a business practice is figuring out how, and figuring out like what needs to change and what isn't working, and who, like what part of the business is stagnating in a weird way, and like bringing people in who also care about that. So the other thing I'd recommend to you, Cole, is to find places where people are trying to change things, attach yourself to that, like by being helpful. I don't mean just like barnacle on, but like go to them and say, hey, I noticed you're doing this thing. I would like to do this thing, which is tangentially related to that. I think the two of us combined can build the perfect presentation that convinces the universe that this is how things should happen. Yeah.
Anybody else want to ask anything? Well, thank you very much, Jairus. I appreciate you coming out.
Thank you, Robert.
Okay, first, you have to pick the winner for the tickets. And 2 tickets. Did everybody get a chance to go ahead and put their name in the bucket? Everybody good? Yep. Anybody want to? Last call? Okay, great. Jairus, let us know who the winners are for the 2